Every morning they get up and have a big meal before it's light. And they don't eat and they don't drink. They fast until the dark of night. During Ramadan, Ramadan, his family celebrates Ramadan. I have a friend, her name is Amina. Her family celebrates Ramadan. We go to school together and play. Amina prays 5 times a day. During Ramadan, Ramadan, her family celebrates Ramadan. On the first day of the month that follows Ramadan, their families invite us to the feast that they put on, celebrating Ramadan, Ramadan. Their families celebrate Ramadan, Ramadan, Ramadan. My friends celebrate Ramadan, Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan.
Ramadan, 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 Ramadan. The new moon we've come upon, the month of fasting has begun. It's time to purify the hearts, and so we welcome Ramadan, 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 Ramadan. We are one, one, one. Oh, we are one, one, one. One ummah under the sun, one ummah praising the one. We are one, one, one. Oh, we are one, one, one. We love Allah's beloved, send peace upon Muhammad. We are one, one, one. Oh, we are one, one, one. We fast and pray and smile and say, Subhanallah, Allah be praised. So is one, one, one. We say Ramadan has begun.
I have a friend, his name is Omar. His family celebrates Ramadan, the 9th month of the lunar year. His family celebrates Ramadan, Ramadan, Ramadan. His family celebrates Ramadan. Every morning they get up and have a big meal before it's light. And they don't eat and they don't drink. They fast until the dark of night. During Ramadan, Ramadan, his family celebrates Ramadan. I have a friend, her name is Amina. Her family celebrates Ramadan. We go to school together and play. Amina prays 5 times a day. During Ramadan, Ramadan, her family celebrates Ramadan. On the first day of the month that follows Ramadan, their families invite us to the feast that they put on, celebrating Ramadan, Ramadan. Their families celebrate Ramadan, Ramadan, Ramadan. My friends celebrate Ramadan, Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan.
can start. Alright,
Ramadan.
so good afternoon, Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao. Buong Pilipinas, magandang hapon sa ating lahat. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and Ramadan Kareem to all of us. I am your today's host, Biba Dumado, and I am pleased to welcome everyone to Virtual Iftar Program 2021. This event is organized by U.S. Embassy Philippines and Association of Lady Sharia Counselors at Law of the Philippines. The holy month of Ramadan, as we all know, reminds all of us who are living through these increasingly polarized and economically challenging times about the universal value of showing compassion to all creation, and particularly to those who are most vulnerable in our communities. So in honor of this heightened spiritual season, the organizers of this event aims to increase interfaith understanding and awareness, as well as to encourage dialogue and discussion between Muslims and non-Muslims. So today is a very special day because we are honored to be graced by the presence of Senator Pacquiao, House of Representatives Deputy Speaker Lauren Legarda, and Congressman Freddy Shao, as well as Minister of the Parliament Zia Alonso. And later on, we will also be joined by a powerhouse panel of speakers from different leaders, from religious, tribal, and civic leaders. The most exciting part is we will be breaking our fast simultaneously and virtually. And I assume the organizers have catered meals for all of us, and I hope you have received it now. So be it noted that we are following the Mindanao time. So I believe by 6 o'clock p.m. we'll break the fast to those who are situated in Mindanao. So be it also noted with our house rules, this event is being recorded, and the recorded video of this event will be broadcasted tomorrow at Facebook platforms of the organizers. When not speaking, please put your microphones on mute. And since this is an exclusive event among us who are here within Zoom, we'd love to encourage all of you to please turn on your videos throughout the program so that we can feel the intimacy among us despite the distance from each other. So again, ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in into the Virtual Iftar Program 2021. So let's start this program with an opening prayer to be led by the Development Management Officer of Peace Building and Conflict Resolution, who is detailed in the Office of the Chief of Staff of the NCMF Secretary, and the former officer in charge, Regional Director of the National Commission of Muslim Filipinos North Luzon. So let us all welcome Datu Raja Ali Pambaya. Sir, over to you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم الرزاق الودود الحنان المنان ذو الجلال والإكرام. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية في الدنيا في ديننا ودنيانا وأهلنا ومالنا. اللهم ربنا العزيز الكريم هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم إنا نسألك رزقا طيبا وعلما نافعا وعملا متقابلا. اللهم تقبل دعاءنا وصيامنا وقيامنا في شهر رمضان المبارك. اللهم تقبل دعاءنا وصيامنا وقيامنا في ليلة القدر. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار والحمد لله رب العالمين. Almighty Allah, we pray unto you to make this forum successful. Enlighten our hearts so that we may be able to share an ambience of learning that promotes better understanding. Guide us to achieve our goal with ease. Inspire us to remain good caring and kind towards one another as peace-loving people, irrespective of our affiliations, being one nation under one emblem, unite us. Give us more strength and impartial wisdom to enable us win over this implacable pandemic. Amin. Again, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ako po ay bumabati sa inyo ng isang napakagandang hapong pagbati. Let me speak about Ramadan. Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar. It is observed by practicing Muslims as a month of fasting, reflection, reading the Holy Quran, and prayer. It is the fourth of the 5 pillars of Islam. Ramadan commemorates the first revelation of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him. The final template of the Holy Quran and all former holy scriptures were descended from heaven on a Ramadan month. Ramadan is prescribed to Muslims as it was prescribed to prophets and to earlier generations of believers. Ramadan's dates vary according to the lunar cycle. Deciding the new crescent moon marks the official start of Ramadan. It lasts to either 29 or 30 days, depending on the year. Initial moon sighting to determine the start and another moon sighting to determine the final day of Ramadan are both necessary. The word Ramadan is derived from the Arabic root Ramadah, scorching heat, or the verb Ramada, meaning become intensely hot. Therefore, fasting is just an apt response to a hot environment. Fasting during the month of Ramadan, called the Sawm, saves a Muslim's life. The Arabic word for fasting means to refrain not only from food and drink, but also from evil actions, thoughts, or words. Muslims are required to denounce all worldly pleasures, such as smoking, gossip, listening to music, and even sexual advances between married couples during the daytime. It is a time to purify the soul, refocus attention on God the Almighty, and practice self-discipline and self-sacrifice. Abstention from foods or drinks takes place on a daily basis from dawn to sunset. At around 4 a.m. to 6 p.m., with variations depending on the location. Each night, renewing the intention to fast on the subsequent day is desired. Before dawn, those observing Ramadan will gather for a prior to fasting meal called the suhoor, dawn. And at dusk, the fast will be broken with a meal called the Iftar, breakfast. Both meals may be communal, but the Iftar is an especially fantastic social affair when extended families gather to eat and when masajid, mosques, welcome the needy with food. Note, however, that few numbers of people may be partially exempted from fasting with varying conditions of accountabilities. During Ramadan, Muslims are encouraged to pray and attend a masjid for the nightly prayers called Taraweeh and Tahajjud, and rehearse the Holy Quran over the course of the month. The 3 theme parts of Ramadan. The first 10 days of Ramadan is Rahmat, which means mercy. The second 10 days is Maghfirah, which is focused on forgiveness. The third day and final 10 days is Najat, salvation or emancipation. Thus, reflections and supplications asking for mercy, forgiveness, and salvations are uttered most corresponding to these 3 theme parts of Ramadan. Laylat al-Qadr. The Laylat al-Qadr, better known as the Night of Power, is considered the holiest night of the year for Muslims and specified, yet it is a night portion certainly found in the last 10 days of Ramadan. According to the Holy Quran, Laylat al-Qadr is better than 1,000 months. Observing i'tikaf, staying in the masjid, in the last 10 days of Ramadan is one of the most renowned traditions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, pertinent to the month of Ramadan. The practice of charity or zakat is another of Islam's 5 pillars. In Ramadan, Muslims are encouraged to give consistently zakat, cleansing of wealth, or they may make sadaqah, voluntary alms, an additional charitable gift. Zakat al-Fitr is an essential stamp-like requisite of Ramadan. Each Muslim member of the family gives an equivalent of at least a ganta or 2.5 kilograms of local staple food, rice in the case of the Philippines, to any among the 8 prescribed serving groups of people. The end of Ramadan is concluded by the Islamic holiday of Eid al-Fitr. Before the final fast is broken, Muslims start to recite aloud the takbir, which gives praises to Allah and acknowledges His supremacy. Eid begins on the first day of the Islamic lunar month of Shawwal, and the celebration may last as long as 3 days. To share, enjoy, and jubilate, visiting family and friends alike is customary. Eid Mubarak greetings, wishes, and gifts are exchanged between and among partners. Let me take this opportunity with my fellow NSMF officers around. We wish to express for and on behalf of the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, under the able leadership of Secretary Saidamin B. Pangarungan, our sincerest gratitude to the sponsors and facilitators of this virtual gathering for inviting us. We highly appreciate it. The forum is so meaningful and a very symbolic one. Our appreciation goes to the U.S. Embassy officers and staffs, Manila, to Councilor Siti Aliyah Limbao Lukman, Sharia lawyer, President and co-founder of the Association of Lady Sharia Counselors at Law of the Philippines Incorporated, and to all of the members. It is indeed a pleasure joining with you, fellow guests and participants. Wassalamu alaikum wa Ramadan Mubarak wa kullu amin wa antum bi khairin. Thank you.
Shukran jazilan, Sir Datu Raja Ali Pumbaya, and thanks for leading the invocation and for giving a brief background about Ramadan. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, we will be welcomed by the President of the Association of Lady Sharia Counselors at Law of the Philippines, Siti Aliyah Limbao Lukman. Over to you, Ems.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. From today, we only have few more days left of Ramadan, 4 or 5 days. Amidst the incidents of injustices, delicate regional or bilateral diplomacy issues, intermittent natural calamities, and on top of them is the global catastrophic pandemic we've been combating for almost 2 years now, we would urge not only fellow Muslims, but everyone around from various religious conviction to pray for the world to heal. I believe that an interfaith program such as this is very timely and judicious because the world is in dire need to be united in prayer. We are excited and in deep gratitude that we are able to bring together multifarious guests from all walks of life. We highly acknowledge the presence of our distinguished guest speakers, Senator Emmanuel Pacquiao, Deputy Speaker Lauren Legarda, Congressman Xiao, BTA Deputy Speaker Zia Arlonto Adyong, Bishop Thomas Mascareñas, Dato Raja Pumbaya, Dato Harun Ali, Shakuntala Vaswani, Professor Sharima Ali Morales, Attorney Alexin Bangcola, and Honorable Samira Gutok. Furthermore, we thank our remarkable benefactor, the U.S. Embassy, through Cultural Affairs Officer, Ms. Nina Lewis and Ms. Pauline Anderson, and to our dearest participants. Today, we are joined by religious leaders of different faiths, by various peace and interfaith organizations, such as the United Religion Initiatives, Peacemaker Circles, the Bishop Ulama Conference, USG Alumni PYLP Peace Education Madrasa Project, Misamis Oriental Interfaith Council, UP Kalinaw, SP Muda International, Mindanao Tripartite Youth Corps, and the Integrated Sharia Bar of the Philippines. We are also joined by representatives of some of the government agencies, such as the Senate, the Congress, Department of Finance, BARM, NCMF, DILG, COMELEC, and NAPOLCOM. We have participants from the judiciary. We have in attendance from the academy, the deans and the professors of MSU College of Law, MSU IIT, and UP. We, the Association of Lady Sharia Counselor at Law of the Philippines, are so honored that we acquired the trust and confidence of the U.S. Embassy for us to organize this very important, meaningful, symbolic event. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Right. So thank you very much, Siti Alia Limbao. So again, I'd like to welcome everyone, and it's really a pleasure because I'm seeing my former teachers, my mentors, as well as friends. Yes. So welcome everyone. And we got also a message from the U.S. Embassy. So let us all welcome the Assistant Cultural Affairs Officer of the U.S. Embassy Philippines, Ms. Nina Lewis. Nina.
Hi, I'm here. Thank you all so much for joining us today. It's an honor to be here with you, although virtually. This event is the cap of a series of Ramadan events with this Iftar reception. I want to acknowledge the amazing people who are joining us here today, especially Senator Pacquiao, Congresswoman Batista Lagarda, the Honorable Mr. Ajiong, Member of Parliament of the Bangsamoro Transition Authority, and Bishop Thomas Mascarenas, the Chairman of the Board of the Mindanao Evangelical Leaders Council. Also the members of the various religious communities who are joining us today, civil society organizations and academic institutions. Thank you all so much for joining. I myself am Jewish, and so I'm very interested to be learning more about your faith. And it was very interesting to hear the prayer and the introduction and a little bit of background. So thank you for sharing that with us. As a member of the Jewish community here in Manila, a fast is also part of our religious tradition. We have a Day of Atonement every year, which is our most important holiday, and we observe from food and drink for 24-hour period while we pray for that entire period. So I guess I stand with you and I see how important what you all are doing is now and have a lot of respect for it. Our embassies around the world and our consulates around the world observe Ramadan with different types of outreach events. The embassy in the Philippines concluded yesterday with a month-long interfaith dialogue with people throughout Southeast Asia, with a lot of discussion about preventing violent extremism in the region. We partnered with our US government exchange alumni and a bunch of local NGOs to provide food backpacks to madrasa students in the Lanao provinces. And we also supported another Iftar reception in CDO City, which I think we're going to see a little bit of later in this program. The US government continues to support the Philippine government in the campaign against COVID-19. We've donated 97.2 billion pesos as part of a 194.4 billion peso pledge to support vaccine access for the Philippines and other countries. And we're very much committed to ensuring that resources are available as needed here. In the next hour, we'll join with our Muslim brothers and sisters to break the fast tonight. And I'm really excited to be doing that with all of you today. And I hope that everybody is going to join us for that. I just want to thank all of our friends at the religious organizations in particular today who are joining us. I think having the diversity of faiths here today really makes this event stand out and be very special. Although I hope that next year we'll all be able to do this together in person. So I want to thank finally the Association of Lady Sharia Counselors at Law of the Philippines through the president, Ms. Aliyah Limbao, and also the Peacemakers Circle for supporting us today. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Dina, and please extend our thanks also to the U.S. Embassy for the continuing support for the empowerment of Bangsamoro. So yes, so we shall now move on to the next part of the program. So our speaker is the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Lauren Legarda. She currently serves as a member of the House of Representatives of the Philippines, representing the Lone District of the province of Antique. Prior to her election to the current position in May 2019, she was a three-term member of the Philippine Senate, where she chaired the Committees on Finance, Foreign Relations, and Climate Change. She has authored many laws aimed at improving the lives of Filipinos and promoting inclusive, sustainable, and resilient development. Deputy Speaker Legarda has contributed to peace efforts in Mindanao and initiated laws aiming for economic social development for the region. She co-authored Republic Act 9996, creating the Mindanao Development Authority, a permanent body that will integrate and harmonize all peace and development efforts in Mindanao. Also, she co-authored RA 1104, or the Organic Law for the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region and Muslim Mindanao, the RA 9177, or the Eid al-Fitr Law, and she principally authored RA 9849, the Eid al-Adha Law. She also co-authored the bill guaranteeing the rights of internally displaced persons and initiated projects and supported programs for the benefit of Muslim communities in Mindanao, such as the Marawi City Recovery, Rehabilitation, and Reconstruction Program, the Yakan Village in Zamboanga, and Lake Cebu in South Cotabato, among others. For her outstanding work for the cause of Muslims, Deputy Speaker Legarda was bestowed the title of Baiyalabi, Honorary Muslim Princess, by the Marawi Sultanate League, and as a sign of gratitude for advancing indigenous people's concerns, the cultural communities of Mindanao adopted then Senator Legarda as Bai Matumpis, which means the ones who take care. So ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to introduce the Deputy Speaker, the representative of the Lone District of Antique, Congresswoman Lauren Legarda.
Thank you very much for that very comprehensive introduction. I think you excised all my accomplishments for our brothers and sisters in Muslim Mindanao and all over the Philippines from my 30 years work in the Senate and in Congress in the House of Representatives. I appreciate your having read those portions relevant to Mindanao. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon to all of you. I'm honored and excited to join you in your breaking of the fast today. I know that my former colleague and kumpare, Senator Manny Pacquiao, is online today. I'd like to greet him. Congressman Frederick Shao, Lone District of Iligan, is also joining us online. I heard the message of Ms. Nina Lewis of the U.S. Embassy. We're happy to join you. Ms. Siti Alia Limbao Lukman, a president of the Association of Lady Sharia Counselors at Law of the Philippines. MP Zior Raman Alonto Adyong, Member of Parliament for Bangsamoro Transition Authority. My inaanak, Ms. Samira Gutok, I provided some help through her, through Dole Tupad Cash for Work for our brothers and sisters, Muslim communities in some areas in Metro Manila as well. Bishop Tomas Mascareñas and Raha Ali Pumbaya, Regional Director of the NCMF, and all our esteemed guests who are online. I'm sorry I cannot see everybody, and all our distinguished guests and members of various government and non-government organizations, civil society organizations, our friends from government, our friends in the academe as well. Good afternoon to all of you. I would like to commend the Association of Lady Sharia Counselors at Law of the Philippines and the US Embassy for such an inspiring way to break the fast with a multi-dimensional gathering such as this. Indeed, our varied faiths should unite us instead of divide us. I congratulate the counselors for breaking the ceilings by improving yourself to be of assistance for those needing legal help. To those who have passed the exam, I urge you not to rest on your laurels, but look at how effective this system is for the most disadvantaged in our communities. Perhaps it is time to revisit Presidential Decree 1083 to assess the effectiveness of the institutions built during a different time to see how well justice is served by it. You can imagine our frustration in the legislature, and I've been there since 1998, if the laws we painstakingly researched, wrote, sponsored, defended, and passed are not implemented. It is a matter worthy of congressional oversight that only half of the district courts are operational, and there is no appellate court yet. Case disposition also seems to be on the low side, and every year the passing rate goes lower. But as you may all know, a tool is sharpened by its regular use. And if justice was regularly handed out to those that need it, we would not have to create institutions to dispense it. Hence, one of the ways the Sharia system will benefit the community is for more people to use it and demand justice under it. With opportunities to practice, the value of your profession will be all the more enhanced. If we look deep into each of the core sets of beliefs, we will find that prejudice and discrimination are things that are passed on by example and by teaching, not by heredity or through osmosis. And it is often unconscious without the intent to hurt or injure, but it does so nevertheless. Hence, we can be more mindful about examples that are being set daily, and teachable moments can be the most casual and regular moments. We can be more mindful, checking every so often if the lessons we give are without the burdens of our previous lenses. Prejudice and discrimination, after all, is a ladder and can sometimes be worsened when dealt with by those who are themselves victims of prejudice. I remember sitting and listening to an elder from an indigenous peoples community who spoke after a very accomplished keynoter. He spoke in slow, measured, and repetitive tones, and I remember thinking he was losing his audience, and my mind was starting to wander. As a sign of respect, I forced myself to focus, and as I sat and listened intently, I realized I would have missed his very important teaching if I expected him to be a grandiose speaker. It was more prayer and ritual than speech. And my understanding of true self-determination shifted from that point. After all, I realized the most effective communications are slow, measured, and repetitive, and sometimes they are called prayer. So, to the women counselors here, many pleadings also end with a prayer. I urge you to be creative in the ways you write your arguments and practice your profession. As much as the system allows for our cultural differences to be recognized through Sharia courts and procedures, your practice can still be wrapped up in systems that restrict our appreciation of what true justice and social inclusion could mean. I encourage you as well to dig deeper into how we can ensure the protection of our women and our children. So please help me continue my work as a legislator so I can help look into the analysis and the revision of this system of justice for our Muslim community in the Philippines. As a lifelong learner, which I am, despite my many years, 3 terms in the Senate and 1 term in the House of Representatives, and 20 years as a producer and journalist then, who has always been so close to our Muslim Filipinos, I always try to find out if there are opportunities provided by government for further professional development. It may also be worth looking into continuing legal education opportunities for counselors, like the mandatory continuing legal education required of lawyers. I heard that the University of the Philippines is starting to work on this issue. Allow me also to take this time to express my admiration for each and every one for your self-discipline, patience, and willingness to sacrifice as you reaffirm your deep spiritual devotion and your faith. Rest assured that as a legislator since 1998, and I can tell you now, I was a very young senator when I authored the Idil Adha, the Idil Fitr in my first term. In fact, in my bill that I filed in 1998 or 99, I put it together in one law, but it was not meant to be. And there were those who questioned why a young girl, a young female senator in her 30s, as young as Senator Pacquiao or even younger, was authoring Idil Fitr and Idil Adha together. And so it was only Idil Fitr that was passed, but my advocacy was both. And in my second term, I filed Idil Adha. And so I was principal author Idil Adha because I said it should be both. So the Senate records will bear me out. You look how that happened. I'm not certain who is the senator that excised or took out Idil Adha from the first, but I wanted both immediately. I am sure of that. You can check with the Senate archives. Anyway, I will continue to do my part to address cultural and religious biases and prejudices, human rights violations, natural hazards, land conflict, poverty, to ensure lasting peace and prosperity for our Muslim brothers and sisters. There's no reason Mindanao and our Muslim areas are so rich in terms of natural resources and even human resources. Your brilliance and your culture are indeed so rich. So as I join you in breaking this fast this afternoon, let us all pray that our hardships be eased, our erring thoughts be erased of our minds, and our souls be filled with a sense of purity and gratitude. In Antique, we would say, durugid nga salamat. That means, thank you very much. Maraming salamat po. Ito po ang inyong Bay Alabe ng Marawi Sultanate League way back in 1992, I think. I was a very young journalist then, and I am forever grateful to the Maranaos and all our Muslim community for your continued support. And I am here always at your service. Mabuhay. Maraming salamat po.
Mabuhay po kayo, ma'am. Wow, so that was a very inspiring message, Congressman Lauren. And thank you for continuing support to the rights of Bangsamoro. Just to share lang, no, when I was in my younger years, at saka 10-inch years, I can recall now the name, the Lauren Ligarda, who were so very supportive with the Muslim communities, really. So maraming salamat po, Ma'am Lauren. So can I request everyone to turn on your videos so that we can have a picture taking with Congressman Lauren. So tech team, at your count, please.
Please turn on your cameras and stand by. Okay, First page. 1, 2, 3. Okay, another one. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
All right. So once again, thank you very much, Congresswoman Lauren Legarda. Maraming salamat po.
Thank
All
you.
right. So, yes po. So let us move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is the Deputy Speaker of the Member of Parliament, Bangsamoro Transition Authority, Ziaur Rahman Zia Alonto Adiong. Before his appointment as Member of Parliament, he was elected as an assemblyman of the now defunct autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao Regional Legislative Assembly. During his term, he sponsored major legislations for the region, such as, and among others, an act providing for the administrative code for the armed, an act creating the Regional Commission on Human Rights, an act providing for a system of basic education for the armed, an act creating the Regional Darul Ifta of the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. He was a delegate for the government of the Republic of the Philippines to the tripartite review on the implementation of the 1986 MNLF GRP Final Peace Agreement meetings. During the Marawi siege of 2017, Deputy Speaker Zia played a crucial role in bridging the gap between the people of Lano del Sur and the armed forces of the Philippines. As spokesperson of the Provincial Management Committee, he made sure that the voices of the people of Lano del Sur would be heard and represented in the decision-making process of the government. For his years in public service, he was awarded by the JCI with a 10 Outstanding Young Men Award for Government Service in 2019. And he has been vocal of his advocacies for peace, justice, human rights, and economic development. Just like his grandfather, the late Senator Ahmad Dumukaw Alonso Sr., he passionately believes that educating the youth is the right method to nation building. So ladies and gentlemen, let us give a round of virtual applause to Deputy Speaker Zia Alonso.
Thank you very much for that introduction. First of all, I'd like to again rejoin the statement of our Bayalabi Saranao, former Senator and now Deputy Speaker Lauren Legarda, for the opportunity of having me, inviting me to be part of this program, of this virtual Iftar breaking program. It is indeed a privilege to speak alongside fellow Mindanaoan, like Senator Manny Pacquiao, Senator Xiao, and of course our Bayalabi, our very own Senator Lauren Legarda. Ma'am, it was in 1992. I remember during your crownment, I was there. I used to be one of your campaign, one of your election watchers, poll watchers. I volunteered during the first. Yeah, I
I'm
volunteered.
still online. I can see you. I know I don't have the
Yeah.
floor, but thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. It's my privilege. It's my privilege, ma'am, to be working for your campaign in your
I
first.
hope we can still work together. And
I hope so.
yes. Okay. I will not interrupt you. I'm online. I'm watching you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again,
Regards
ma'am.
to the family. Yes.
Yes po. Yes po. And also would like to thank the U.S. Embassy for sponsoring this Iftar virtual Iftar breaking, and also to the Sharia, women Sharia lady lawyers, its president, attorney, consular Aliyah Limbao Lukman, for inviting me, and also to be able to share with you my personal experience as a child when I was growing up in Marawi City, the experiences that I had during Ramadan. And I'm very, very grateful also to see some of my friends here on Zoom on this call. I see Kaka Samira Gatuk. I see Judge Judge Maylene. I also see Dean of MSU College of Law. Many familiar faces. Again, assalamu alaikum to all of you. And again, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you and to share with you our experiences in my personal experiences as I was growing up as a child during Ramadan. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think there's no other observance that brings together Muslims all over the world the way fasting or the observance of holy month of Ramadan can. And each year, we gather in worship as we go back to our roots of our faith. We read the Quran as a family. We engage in acts of charity within our neighbors, within our neighborhood, and fasting as part of global community that really binds together people by a shared belief in the mercy and the grace of Allah the Almighty. And again, I'm very, very grateful for the United States Embassy in the Philippines for hosting today's iftar, and also to express its solidarity with the Muslim global community in the observance of the holy month of Ramadan. I would also like to extend my appreciation to those who have carved time out of their busy schedules to join our community in breaking today's fast and to express their support for a global observance of a global observance of one of the most important rituals and foundations of Islamic faith. As a child, again, I remember Ramadan made me feel welcome in a world full of adults. I would wake up in the morning to eat with the rest of our family as we prepare for the first prayer of the day. And I would perform the salah. We listened to our local imam as he led us in prayer. And in the same way that I would eventually lead my family in prayer. So this has been a common experiences we have in Marawi City and all over in Mindanao, and mostly in Bangsamoro / Muslim communities. Ramadan is something that many of us grew up with, born into Muslim families, being taught how to read the Quran since we were kids. We could hear our grandfathers, our parents teaching us how to read the Quran and teaching us also the meaning of the Arabic text into our vernacular, into Maranao or either Tagalog or English language. We often have Quran with us, which is so popular at the time, Yusuf Ali. It's transliterated in English Roman text and translated into English. And this has been the common features that we see all over houses of Maranao and Muslims in Marawi City. And Ramadan is actually an opportunity for us to share the best of our version, the very best of the version of ourselves to others. We learn compassion at a very early age. We learn to give and to share and to love. And we also learn the very hadith of Prophet Muhammad that a Muslim cannot truly be a Muslim if he or she does not aspire what he dreams and aspire for his neighbor what he aspires and dreams for himself. And that is basically the very message of what Ramadan is: compassion and sharing and being generous to others. Ramadan is known for its communal nature, and it's often, but sadly, it is often a time of loneliness for those who practice their faith while living distantly from their families abroad. While there may be opportunities to break the fast with friends and colleagues at work who share the same faith, the early mornings that I usually get to spend with my family may prove to be especially hard for those who practice the same faith as mine, but in a vastly different context, in a very far distant place from their families, facing loneliness in a different country in order to send security and comfort to their families back home. So we also join them in spirit, those who have been living abroad and breaking their fast alone, out away from their families. All this is made more complicated by the ongoing pandemic, which has changed the way we observe Ramadan as a community. What used to be a time of coming together has now been defined by the physical separation of families and communities all over the world, as public gatherings in places of worship have been limited, and as shared meals have become impossible for those who used to find traveling between cities and provinces a bit difficult nowadays. Most people, especially non-Muslims, know Ramadan only as a month of fasting from food and drink without having understood really the significance of the fasting. Fasting just is an act of surrender. The physical restrictions of having to abstain from food and drinks is just the obvious manifestation of how we observe Ramadan. But the true act of self-sacrifice and to endure this hunger it actually goes beyond the needs of the body, but it also is a way to realign our thoughts, realign our spirit in a way that would truly embody us, the nature and the teachings of Allah, which is the universal message of generosity, having uh, having to experience what the underprivileged have been experiencing on a daily basis, in order to develop in us a sense of togetherness in the community, generosity, compassion to others, and also to be able to share with other people the blessings that we have, so that people who have less in life may have the opportunity to be part of a community of Muslims. Not only Muslims, but a community of people who really care for others. So that truly is to us the essence of Ramadan. While values that we hold close to our hearts remain central to our observance of the fast during the holy month of Ramadan, and while Muslims around the world continue to seek to break the fast at sunrise and sunset, as we have for thousands of years, the material conditions surrounding our observance have changed immensely as people have to deal with unprecedented grief and loss due to the global pandemic and our collective struggle to come up with relevant aid and response that matches the urgency of our current situation. A challenge that is often overwhelming for a fledgling and newly installed political structure of the BARM. We are actually facing multiple crises in the BARM. We are facing the ongoing Marawi rehabilitation, and as well as the pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic crisis. There's a hunger that so many of us feel beyond the holy month of Ramadan because of lost opportunities and livelihood due to both man-made and man-made and natural calamities. Again, I would like to re-emphasize that in Marawi City is very unique. The Ramadan that we're facing right now is unique to other Bangsamoro communities across the Philippines because we are dealing with multiple crises. We are facing with the ongoing rehabilitation of Marawi City brought by the 2017 Marawi siege, and we are also facing another crisis, which is the COVID-19 pandemic. So I would like to take this opportunity, have the opportunity of having Ma'am Lauren Ligarda and my fellow Mindanaoans, lawmakers in the House of Representatives, that we need to expedite the approval of the Marawi compensation bill. I hope we can do that before the 2020 elections, and I hope we can do that before the adjournment of this Congress. There is a thirst that so many of us endure beyond the holy month because of constant deprivation that causes suffering amongst our people. While the holy month of Ramadan offers a month's worth of chances for non-Muslims to participate in the fast while learning about our faith and culture, the days and months beyond the holy month presents an infinite number of opportunities for us to practice the values that the month of Ramadan instills among the Muslim Ummah that we universally share with peoples of other faith: generosity, charity, patience, and compassion. In these times of doubt and uncertainty, I find assurance and security in every gesture of kindness and humanity that we make towards one another. During this month alone, I have seen how communities have stepped up to provide for the underprivileged through community pantries across the country, many of which have decided to accept and distribute halal products for Muslims who might benefit from additional food provisions as they observe the fast this month. During our own efforts at distributing rice and other food items in Lanao del Sur, I have seen how communities work together and to keep each other safe during this pandemic while they line up waiting for the relief package. So I see people lining up, wearing face masks, distantly, physically distanced from one another. Today, I find myself grateful for the chance to break the fast with all of you and to share the holy month Ramadan's message of patience and charity towards all. It is my sincere prayer that this meal that we now share can mark the beginning of genuine solidarity among all of us who are gathered here today on this call. I hope a deeper understanding of our struggles will take root in our hearts and minds through the conversations we will share during and after this meal. And I hope that the same understanding will extend to our daily interactions with Muslims, as well as other religious and cultural minorities who are often so marginalized and discriminated against. May this meal be a reminder of the rights that we all share, the right to life and the right to health, among others, and the respect that we all deserve as brothers and sisters who share the same family of humanity. Again, my respect to Senator Legarda, Congressman Pacquiao, Congressman Xiao, Ma'am Nina Lewis from the U.S. Embassy, Attorney Alia Limbao, to our host, Bibo Dumadu, and to everyone on this call, maraming salamat po and Ramadan Mubarak to all of you. Privileged to be here.
It's our privilege din po, Sir Zia, to be with us for this very afternoon. And that was a very insightful message. Maraming salamat po. So at this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, yes, so may I request everyone again to please turn on your camera for our picture taking. So this will be handled by our tech team.
Please turn on your camera and stand by. Okay, first page. Another one. Thank you.
So yes, thanks everyone. So at this juncture, we will now be breaking our fast, and it will be led by Dato Harun Ali, the Executive Director of SPMUDA International NCR. He is a Sharia counselor by profession, human rights advocate, peacemaker, mediator, imam, ambassador of goodwill, and a civic leader. He attained the degrees of Juris Doctor and Public Administration and Advanced Citizen Military Training. He served as an advisor and pro bono consultant for the benefit of the society and humanity, whether in the field of political governance, economic progress, social affairs, cultural development, and public safety during challenging times like the COVID-19. So, Dato Harun Ali, over to you po for the call of prayer.
Thank you very much, Brother Dumado, for the introduction. First of all, I'd like to greet you with our Muslim universal greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, which means peace be upon you. Before I call the prayer, let me enlighten you that the Iftar time in Linga City is ahead of the Iftar time in Manila. So the Iftar in Linga City is 5:58 in the afternoon, whereas the Iftar time in Manila is 6:13. So before I call the prayer, let me enlighten you also about the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about this tradition when breaking the fast. He prepared to firstly eat dates or fruits, and the opposite thereof, he used to drink water because water is purification. Um, uh, Before we break the fast, especially in those participants from the city, let us read the prayer. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma laka samtu wa bika amtu wa la rizkika afartu, which means, oh Allah, I have kept my fast for you. In you I live, and with you I break my fast. So let me call the azan, the calling of prayer. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله. For the benefit of others, let me explain to you the meaning of the Azan in a short time. First is an invitation to go to prosperity. First is Allah Akbar. Allah means Allah is the greatest. Allah is the greatest. Allah is God. Allah is the mighty God. Muhammad is his messenger. Muhammad is his messenger. Go to prosperity. Go to prosperity. Go to prayer. Go to prayer. Muhammad, Allah is the greatest. Allah is the Almighty Allah. Thank you very much for hearing me, and may Allah bless you all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikum Assalam, Kakadato Haron. Thanks for leading the iftar. And of course, I hope our friends in Iligan or in Mindanao have eaten their meals already, all right? Or drink their water, all right? So, yeah. Yes, so let's move on to our next speaker, right? So, yes, our next speaker is our pambansang kamao ng Pilipinas, Senator Manny Pacquiao. He's the chairperson of the Committees of Public Works and Ethics and Privileges. He's also the vice chairperson of Committees of Foreign Relations, National Defense, Public Security, Public Services, Sports, Urban Planning, and Housing and Resettlement. So without much further ado, I'm now welcoming you, our pambansang kamao ng Pilipinas, our people's champ, Senator Manny Pacquiao.
Hello, everyone.
Hi
Good
po.
evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, to all the organizers, participants, and guests, my warm greetings to all of you, to the members of Association of Lady Sharia Counselors at Law of the Philippines Incorporated, to the millions of Filipino Muslims across our country, and to all other Muslims across the globe, Ramadan Mubarak to all of you. Today we celebrate the role of faith and spirituality in the lives of Filipino people. The teaching and values of Muslim bind us all, regardless of our religion or tribe, to embrace a shared commitment to respect and serve one another. This is an affirmation that diverse faiths and culture in the country is a strength and not a weakness. Thank you to all of you. Thus, our pledge to religious freedom must be unshakable. We reiterate our strong emphasis on freedom of religious worship. As we celebrate this event, we are also reminded that Islam has always been part of our nation, of our country, of our ancestry. Being a senator from Mindanao, I am privileged to have worked with our Muslim brothers and sisters from various parts of the country. We have a common aim to promote a community of understanding, peace, and harmony. This is why I filed Senate Bill number 1984, which seeks with those provinces representing the existing 8 rays of the sun in the Philippine flag. Our Muslim ancestors equally fought for Philippine independence against the imperial Spanish colonization. Our history is filled with stories of battles bravely fought by our mostly unrecognized Muslim heroes. Their courageous commitment to protect our nation and our territory deserves to be given due recognition. This should be done alongside with those already recognized in the most heraldic article of national importance in the Philippine flag. The nation's flag should not only encapsulate a symbolism that survives the passage of time, but one which truly reflects the historical accounts and gives due recognition to those who went through heroic struggles. Today, let me express my deep appreciation to all of you. We thank our Muslim brothers and sisters for the values that have been imparted to our nation. Thank you also for manifesting courage and tenacity in protecting our country over the course of our national history. In this time of spiritual renewal, I extend my wishes of a blessed Ramadan to all of you. Thank you to all the officers and members of the Association of Lady Sharia Counselors at Law of the Philippines Incorporated. Thank you to all of you and mabuhay kayong lahat. God bless you all.
All right. Mabuhay din po kayo, Senator Manny. Daghang salamat. And that was a very inspiring message. And thanks also for bringing the banner of Mindanao in the Philippine Senate. So maraming salamat po, Senator Manny. So at this juncture po, magpapicture lang po kami, Senator. I'd like to request everyone to please turn on your camera and then tag team at your count.
Please stand by and turn on your camera. Okay, first page. 1, 2. Okay, another one. 1, 2. Okay, thank you.
All right, so thank you very much. So that was the first part of our program po. Maraming salamat once again to Senator Manny Pacquiao, to Congresswoman Lauren Legarda, and Deputy Speaker or the Member of the Parliament, Zia Alonso. So that was the first part of our program. and we will be back by 6:15 p.m. All right. And then I'll turn it over to the president of Association of Lady Sharia Counselors of Law, Ms. Ivy Limbao. All right.
Ramadan is flying away, fingers counting down the days, but we feel that great days are coming. We know there's a special night where angels come from up high, and there's peace on earth as in heaven. One night like 1,000 months of blessings all at once. I know that when it comes, I'll pray that I will be forgiven.
Ooh, Laylatul Qadr, it's a night of peace like no other. Until the bright morning hour, let's worship on Laylatul Mercy, on Laylatul Qadr, on Laylatul Qadr.
This night our book was revealed, then over years unveiled, so we can all love the stories. Best night to call my creator, forgive me for my misbehaviors, my heart to witness his glory. Which night Allah only knows it, any of the nights could be chosen. Catch it before it goes in, the sun rises in the morning.
Ooh, Laylatul Qadr, it's a night of peace like no other. Until the bright morning hour, let's worship on Laylatul Mercy, on Laylatul Qadr, on Laylatul Qadr.
اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عني يا ربي. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عني يا ربي يا الله.
Lord, you're so forgiving, and I know you love to forgive, so forgive me. Ya Rabbi, Ya Allah. Lord, you're so forgiving, and I know you love to forgive, so forgive me. Ya Rabbi. Lord, you are so forgiving, and I know you love to forgive, so forgive me. Ooh, Laylatul Qadr, it's a night of peace like no other. Until the bright morning hour, let's worship on Laylatul Mercy, on Laylatul Qadr, on Laylatul Qadr.
Down the day. Ramadan is flying away, fingers counting down the days, but we feel that great days are coming. We know there's a special night where angels come from up high, and there's peace on earth as in heaven. One night like 1,000 months of blessings all at once. I know that when it comes, I'll pray that I will be forgiven.
Ooh, Laylatul Qadr. It's a night of peace like no other. Until the bright morning hour, let's worship on Laylatul Mercy, on Laylatul Forgiveness, on Laylatul Qadr.
This night our book was revealed, then over years unveiled, so we can all love the story. Best night to call my creator, forgive me for my misbehaviors, my heart to witness his glory. Which night Allah only knows it, any of the nights could be chosen. Catch it before it goes in, the sun rises in the morning.
Ooh, Laylatul Qadr. It's a night of peace like no other. Until the bright morning hour, let's worship on Laylatul Mercy, on Laylatul Forgiveness, on Laylatul Qadr.
اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عني يا ربي. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عني يا ربي يا الله.
Lord, you're so forgiving, and I know you love to forgive, so forgive me. Ya Rabbi, Ya Allah. Lord, you're so forgiving, and I know you love to forgive, so forgive me. Ya Rabbi. Lord, you're so forgiving, and I know you love to forgive, so forgive me. Ooh, Laylatul Qadr. It's a night of peace like no other. Until the bright morning hour, let's worship on Laylatul Mercy, on Laylatul Forgiveness, on Laylatul Qadr.
All right, so we are back, and time check, it's 6:17 p.m. And I hope our Manila brothers and sisters who are residing in Manila, I hope you have broken your fast na. I'm about to drink my water also after introducing our next speaker. So let's move on to our next part of our program, the second part of our program. Our panel today is represented by the different religious, tribal, and sectoral leaders who will shed light on the discussion about the minoritization and discrimination as an assault to the religious freedom. So to kick off our panel discussion, our first speaker is the founding chair and board of director of Mindanao Evangelical Leaders Council. He's also the founding chair of Caraga Network of Evangelical Ministers and Churches, and he was the president of Asia for Christ Ministries Incorporated and a senior pastor of Prosperidad Evangelical Church. Join me in welcoming Bishop Thomas Mascarenas. Bishop Thomas.
Hello.
Hello po.
Yes.
Hi po.
I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes po.
And on behalf of the Mindanao Evangelical Leaders Council, Ramadan Karim to all. Assalamu alaikum. Greetings of peace in the name of the most merciful and gracious one, true God, creator of the universe, and himself not created. All praises be to him alone. I'm glad to be here, and I am grateful to God, glory to his name, and the organizers of this Iftar reception, the U.S. Embassy as host, Attorney City Limbao for the invite, and my divine connection to this event, my revered brother, NCMF Director, Raja Ali Pumbaya. I thank God for this unique honor and privilege of sharing in this platform and forum with you all stakeholders of peace in this country, with special mention to Ms. Nina Lois of the U.S. Embassy in the Philippines, ex-senator and presently Deputy Speaker Lauren Legarda, the idol newscaster to many way back, Senator Manny Pacquiao, our global neighbor from Jinsan, Congressman Frederick Xiao of Iligan City, Honorable Sia Adyong of the BTA Parliament, Commissioner Yusuf Morales of the NCMF, and my fellow clergies. I want to acknowledge also the Mindanao State University administrators and faculty headed by President Dr. Abib Makayong, and special shout out to my ex-roommate, Dr. Sam Anonas, the chairman of the Peace Education Committee in MSU, and hi to all MSUans, so Langon Pagaritano, mga MSUans who are watching. Every day in this holy month of Ramadan brings both challenge and joy to all serious believers of God. Challenge in overcoming the carnal demands and wicked desires of the flesh and this evil world, and joy of overcoming them daily by fasting, which calls for a subsequent daily celebration like this Iftar. So congratulations, and may God continue to grant all believers sincere desire of pleasing him and be in total submission to him in all things. And may God, all praises be to him, hearken the prayers for divine strength and salvation. The minoritization of the ethnic Mindanaoan tribes in their homeland is an unfortunate event and sad reality resulting from aggression in the search for economic advancement. It successfully ushered in discrimination, an assault on religious freedom, and the sowing of seeds of discord and building walls of distrust that hindered the peaceful and harmonious coexistence of peoples belonging to diverse faiths and cultures. Sadly, minoritization also impeded the process of attaining inclusive growth and development. Like the proverbial rearing of the ugly head, minoritization blatantly rears the crude and ugly face of an underdeveloped society. My journey in understanding the historical perspective of the Mindanao conflict, which affected the nation, if not the world, started in MSU. Over the years, it made me realize that we, present Mindanaoans, are all victims of the cruel context of the past. Like someone aptly said, there are no victors in war, only victims, who are usually the innocent women, mothers, and the elderly and small children. My advocacy and journey to this quest of having a lasting peace have also given me the unique privilege of meeting fellow peace advocates and humbly learn from them essential insights that I sincerely believe would help heal the wounds of the past. One crucial insight was from a friend's priest, Father Mitchell de Gigord, now retired in his home country. Abducted 3 times while serving as parish priest in MSU and Iligan City, he said, and I quote, "Who started the conflict is not as important as to who is willing to end it." I suppose that our generation is no longer interested as to who started the conflict. I believe we are more than willing to end it. I suppose that we want to leave behind to the next generation a better Mindanao and country. As civil society members and participants, I suppose that we need to intentionally tear down walls of mistrust and start building bridges of peace, unity, and trust, being involved in practical efforts to become part of the solution and not of the problem of Mindanao and this country. Respect is another critical insight for a peaceful coexistence of peoples of diverse faiths and cultures. It is a strong foundation to building a healthy and peaceful society. It leads to compassionate understanding and sympathetic tolerance to others' different realities. It does not perpetuate any form of stereotyping and prejudice, which are pathetic marks of a people's poor disregard of the well-being of others. When everybody respects all faiths and cultures, everybody becomes a significant stakeholder in building a better society. Another critical insight is love, a love for God or a love from God. In the original Greek, love is a translation from four words. Eros, it is where the word erotic is from. Phileo or philia, where philosophy or philanthropy come from. Storge, the love that exists in the family. And agape or divine love. This agape love from and for God results in the love for fellow men and creation, and the love for all godly pursuits like righteousness, justice, peace, unity, and development. True love for God will lead one to desire for and sincerely advance the good of others and creation, and not harm them. True love from God will cause everybody to seek to serve, care, understand, forgive, commit, and sacrifice for others' good. This is because God is worthy of worship, desires to demonstrate his love, justice, and peace on earth through his people. Most, if not all, past and present peace advocates I know have been influenced and guided by this famous prayer in the spirit of agape of an ancient Catholic priest, Francis de Assisi. He was also famous for his vow of poverty, and he prayed, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O God, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. Finally, for this brief sharing, my favorite thought as a dreamer and an active participant in this quest to have lasting peace and unity for diverse peoples to coexist, particularly here in Mindanao and in many areas of our country, is to focus on the similarities of our faiths and cultures and not on the differences. This is in applying the mindset of the Moravians, a West Slavic ethnographic group from the Moravia region of the Czech Republic around the 14th century. Such mindset enabled them to live peacefully as a community for like 3 centuries, which was replicated in other communities. It is so handy and applicable to Mindanao, to our country, and to the world. The Moravian said, in essentials of faith, a unity, in non-essentials, liberty, and in all things, charity. This short talk would not be complete without mentioning that Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him, taught all Muslims to be peace-loving as a vital mark of a true Muslim by acting out daily the universal greeting, Assalamu alaikum. And Jesus, Nabi Isa ibn Maryam in the glorious Quran, peace be unto him, taught his followers in the Injil to love one another as a fundamental mark of his faithful followers. Hypothetically, when combined, blended, merged, interfaced, all followers would ideally be peaceful and loving. Not bad for a troubled world that we have. A more profound theological thought would bring us even further back. In Nabi Ibrahim or Abraham, peace be unto him, Muslims and Christians are cousins, being descendants by faith through Nabi Ismail and Isaac or Ishaq, respectively, peace be unto them. However, in Nabi Adam, peace be unto him, we are all brothers and sisters belonging to just one blood and one family. God bless us all. God bless Mindanao, and God bless the Philippines.
Thank you so much for the insightful words, Bishop Thomas. Maraming salamat po. So moving forward, we are joined by Dr. Shakuntala Baswani, a Hindu and a longtime resident of the Philippines. She is the co-founder of the Peacemaker Circle Foundation, a non-profit interfaith organization established in the Philippines in 2001 to build bridges of understanding and cooperation between people of diverse cultures and beliefs. Dr. Baswani also served as a trustee and regional coordinator for the Southeast Asia Pacific region in the United Religions Initiative, a global interfaith network for peace. She has also served her Hindu community in Metro Manila, both as a trustee and president of the Hindu Temple, Bharati Women's Association, and Indian Ladies Club, among others, socio-civic organizations. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm giving the floor to Dr. Shakuntala Baswani.
Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and namaste to everyone. I wish all our Muslim brothers and sisters Ramadan Kareem. I thank you for this opportunity to share a message of peace from our faith, Hinduism. Hindus are a minority community in the Philippines, and I'm grateful that we're able to practice our religion with great freedom and without discrimination or any pressures from the society. In fact, since the last few years, we've been able to celebrate two of our great festivals, the Festival of Colors called Holi and the Festival of Lights called Diwali, with the larger Filipino community at the Mall of Asia and through social media. Also, it is heartening to see many Filipino students visit our temple to learn about Hinduism. Actually, the Philippines has a heritage from Hinduism. According to history books, an amalgamated version of Hinduism and Buddhism arrived in the Philippines archipelago in the first millennium through the Indonesian kingdom of Srivijaya, followed by Majapahit. These empires controlled the maritime trade in Southeast Asia from the 6th to the 13th centuries. And during these times, Hinduism had a major cultural, economic, political, and religious influence in the Philippines. Hinduism's decline started with the arrival of Islam and Christianity in the Philippines. But Indian culture and literature have left traces in the Filipino life, especially in the ideas, language, and the arts and literature. The Hindu population now in the Philippines are mostly the descendants of the traders who have been visiting the Philippines since the 19th century. There's also a sizable expat Indian Hindu communities serving in the Philippines, and also many students are coming from India for medical studies. Okay, now for a message of peace from Hinduism. Hinduism, or Sanatan Dharma, as we call it, has no founder. It is based on the collective wisdom, and inspiration of the great seers and sages of ancient India, and compiled in the first books of knowledge called the Vedas. To live a life according to Dharma is the foremost message of Hinduism to all. Dharma is to live in harmony with the eternal divine laws of nature and the moral code of living that governs all reality and binds us together in harmony. Dharma is thus intricately intertwined into the very process of living. Our ancient sages have stressed on individual duties and obligations rather than rights and privileges, as well as living as part of a greater whole rather than independent beings. Dharma, with the concept of karma and ahimsa, provide the essential guidelines for both the individual and the community to create and promote peace. In life, we have the freedom to seek happiness and pleasures and engage in worldly activities to earn wealth, seek fame and success. But we must not lose our focus on dharma and moksha, or liberation, which is the ultimate goal in our life. The concept of karma, or the cosmic law of cause and effect, warns us that every action, however minute, creates its own reactions. As all actions are connected and are part of the universe, so they affect not only the humans, but also nature of which we are a part. Therefore, even a small act can give great consequences. This is common knowledge to every Hindu, and it acts as a deterrent to harm others. Karma, together with the virtue of ahimsa, or non-violence towards all living things, creates respect for all and deters us from harming creatures and nature. Ahimsa is not only the physical non-violence, it is also doing ahimsa through our thoughts and speech. The great Indian social activist Mahatma Gandhi put ahimsa into practice and brought reforms in South Africa and India. Peace, or shanti as we say, is not only important within ourselves, but it is also our dharma to act peacefully towards others. Peace is needed for the well-being of all life. Individually, everyone is seeking continuous peace and joy from the world outside, and we keep on moving from one desire to another, and we never seem to be satisfied. To find peace, we need to turn inwards and overcome the inner enemies of greed, selfishness, anger, and lust. We can do this by meditation, fasting, devotional acts, and knowing God by reading the scriptures. Moving on to the community level, the values of universal peace and unity are firmly embedded in our scriptures. From the Upanishads, we learn, Isa Vasyam Idam Sarvam. That is, this entire universe is to be looked upon as the energy of the Lord. The great forces of nature, the earth, sky, air, water, and fire, as well as all the living beings, are an extension of the divine and are bound to each other and to the great rhythms of nature. In other words, we are all interconnected and interdependent. By seeing the divine in all beings, we see there is no other. It creates a sense of equality and an attitude of sublime tolerance and acceptance towards all. Hinduism gives a lot of freedom to its followers to see God from different perspectives and vantage points and worship Him in different ways. The sages have said, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, that is, truth is one. Sages call it by various names. We have many sects in Hinduism, and all are respected equally as different pathways to the one Supreme Lord, and no one is pressurized to convert. We choose the pathway that is confirming with our nature. This is also the reason why the Hindus can respect other religions as different pathways to the same ultimate reality of God. Unity in diversity is another integral principle of Hindu philosophy. We say Vasudeva Kutumbakam, or the whole world is but one family. This is what a Hindu requires to internalize in his path of spiritual progress. The concept of oneness has helped India to find unity in the midst of its diversities and is also India's strength. Also, during India's struggle for freedom, Mahatma Gandhi brought the concept of ahimsa or non-violence back into the society and, and refused to act violently or retaliate in any way despite his persecutions. He said, "Non-violence is the greatest force at the disposal of mankind. It is mightier than the mightiest weapon of destruction devised by the ingenuity of man." Since then, Gandhi's philosophy has influenced many leaders and peace movements across the world, including Nelson Mandela in South Africa and Martin Luther King in the US and 1986 EDSA revolution in the Philippines. Now more than ever, there's need to realize that we are all interconnected and our behavior has an impact on the environment around us, be it the people, other living beings, or nature. Therefore, let us be more conscious of our life and our behavior. As people of faith, let us extend goodwill towards one another and dialogue to appreciate each other and build bridges on our shared values. I believe that if you bring peace to others, or at least do not disturb their peace, then the universe and God will reciprocate by sending peace our way. I would now like to leave you with this quote from Swami Vivekananda. If there be righteousness in the heart, there will be beauty in character. If there is beauty in character, there will be harmony in the home. If there's harmony in the home, there will be order in the nation. And if there be order in the nation, then there will be peace in the world. Thank you. Om Shanti, and may peace prevail on all of us.
Om Shanti. Thank you very much, um, Dr. Vasani. Yes. So indeed, Dr. Vasani, the world is one. We are one. We are all interconnected. And yes, just want to share also that I admire the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi, and actually, he's one of my favorite lawyers. My favorite anti-colonial, nationalist, and political ethicist. Yes, so thank you for sharing that message, na Dr. Baswani. Maraming salamat.
Thank you for the privilege. Thank you.
Yes po. So let's move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Professor Sharima Ali Morales, a native of Butuan City, Agusan del Norte. She is a regular faculty of Polytechnic University of the Philippines, where she finished her undergraduate and master's degrees and is currently pursuing and finishing her dissertation. Professor Sharima was awarded as Most Outstanding Researcher in Education in an internal researcher conference in Pattaya, Thailand. Just last year, she was designated as University Faculty Researcher under the Research Management Office of the TUP. Most of her research areas are in curriculum and instruction, youth as an advocate of peace, and Madras education. She is also a co-author on various papers for countering violent extremism, along with the former NCMF Commissioner Yusuf Morales. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now giving the floor to Professor Sharima Ali Morales.
Assalamu
Over to
alaikum.
you,
I hope
ma'am.
my
Salam
audio.
salam.
Assalamu alaikum. I hope my audio is clear. I am outside Manila. Is my audio clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Loud and clear,
So
ma'am.
yes, thank you again. Good evening, and we are a few days away from ending the Ramadan. So instead of just providing you a message, allow me to share. Incidentally, I'm finishing a write-up on a research on minoritization. So as a university faculty researcher at the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, nurturing and empowering 70 students with its 21 branches all over Luzon. We're catering the poorest of the poor students. And definitely we have students that are, of course, belonging to the minorities. And part of our research agenda is on peace and security, also on social and cultural development with the context of inclusivity, gender, and development. Hence, of course, minoritization discussion would be a good insight in the university to improve our curriculum and revisit the programs to further forward the inclusivity on education. So in our research, I'll be giving you a glimpse or part of the result of the research that we have done a few months ago in the Sambazulta area. The elements of minoritization can be an institution or a group that has an innate certainty that they will need to dominate over others to impose their beliefs, culture, or system. Can be a group or groups that in the belief of the domineering group is inferior in nature and should therefore assimilate the system, culture, belief, or else be eliminated. A belief system that may appear to have elements of intolerant and incompatible system, a competing belief system that is viewed to be inferior and should be subsumed. So generally in the Philippine context, when we talk about minoritization, we talk about cultural and religious minoritization. So there are cultural minoritization in terms of the minoritizations of Isas by the people of the central Luzon, minoritization of the Dumagats in the Tagalog speaking regions in Bulacan, Aurora, Quezon, and Rizal, the minoritization of Sabanan and Zamboanga City, and the minoritization of the Bajaos and Tausug communities. In terms of religious minoritization, there are minoritizations of the Sunni by the Salafis, the minoritizations of the Shias by the Salafis, the minoritization of the non-Islamite Islamized indigenous people or the Lumads in both Barm and in Mindanao, and of course as the country as a whole. So part of the thematic analysis that we took from our respondents is that minoritization and social inclusion team. It happens generally due to the difference in belief with the dominant cultural or religious group who considers all those who oppose them as misguided or culturally inferior. This gives them sort of justification to isolate or oppress minority groups. And generally, if these minority groups would succumb to the pressure for them to surrender their identity and assimilate the dominant group, they would be subjected to more hostile actions. Normally, these dominating groups may have a sense or feeling of superiority that makes them prone to commit acts of violence against minority groups that they tend to dominate and socially exclude due to the difference in belief or culture. Such minoritizations would be manifested by extreme social exclusion that would make members of the groups being targeted to lose access to certain things such as government services or being allowed to simply go about their normal lives in school, work, or in the community. Also, part of the team generated from the respondents' response or minoritization and government action. The government should institute strong policies protecting to the difference in belief, religion, culture origins, as well as understand them so that it will lead towards peace and tranquility. As a Sharia lady, of course, belonging to the Sharia lady at law, there is also the suggestion or a thematic response here on penal provisions for those violating uh, with special emphasis on those who engage in hate speech and cultural xenophobia that will ensure minorities will be protected. The state, as well other people, groups, and institutions should have a better understanding so that conflicts will not happen wherein minorities are not given importance or value. Part of the conclusion is on addressing minoritization. More activity is similar to this. No? We are very thankful of to our host and to our the ones supporting this activity. No? More activities focus on interfaith, interreligious, intrareligious, and intercultural dialogues like this, facilitating more immersion activities for religious and developmental workers to avoid messianic intervention syndrome, addressing systematic and structural problems that allow minoritization, such as government passive support for groups and institutions that engage in minoritization. Finally, creating a more training, capacity building programs aimed at the government, institutions, and groups that may have hand in minoritizations of other groups, communities, and people. I will be closing it with a quotation from Ibn Khaldun that man is the child of customs, not the child of his ancestors. Again, Salaam Alaikum.
Alaikum Salam, Professor Morales. That was indeed a very insightful word po. And thanks for sharing your research about minoritization. And once again, maraming salamat to Bishop Thomas Mascarinas, Dr. Shakuntala Vaswani, and Professor Sharima Ali Morales for sharing your insightful and remarkable words. Maraming salamat po. So at this juncture, let's move on to the Association of Lady Sharia Counselors at Law of the Philippines Incorporated 2% their future projects and future and upcoming projects. So here is Siti Aliyah Limbao Lokman.
Assalamualaikum again. At this juncture, I am tasked to provide our recent programs. But before that, I want to give a brief description of our organization. We are a non-stock, non-profit organization composed of Sharia women counselors in the Philippines. We envision to be a premier organization wherein the rights and dignity of women across all stages of life are equitably and universally promoted, protected, and sustained. Our main mission is to promote and defend the rights of women under the law, to help eradicate misconception in order to promote Sharia or Islamic law, and to advocate for peace, woman empowerment, human rights, and rule of law. We founded the organization since 2015. I can say that one of our notable works is we were one of the organizations who questioned the standing of Sharia counselors in the Integrated Sharia Bar of the Philippines. So, and then we also supported causes such as hijab walk or World Hijab Day and No to Darkness movement in response to Charlie Hebdo. We had our second assembly in Jakarta, Indonesia. And in 2016 to 2017, we held a program with the U.S. Embassy on reinforcing women's rights and access to justice in Lanao. We had successive programs held in Iligan, Marawi, Balui, and in Kulambugan, Lanao del Norte. During the Marawi siege, we held donation drives. We had lectures on Sharia and cultural sensitivity programs to military camps in Lanao. And in 2018, we helped organize a commemoration program of the Marawi siege held in Robinson, Iligan with hundreds of attendees. In 2019, we held free legal aid and legal counseling on women's rights and Sharia law. And as for the recent project, we are now conducting programs with the U.S. Embassy on examining current trends of violent extremism in Southeast Asia. This is in partnership with MSU IIT CAS department with Assistant Dean Pasandalan as our project manager. We held the program on March 10, 18, and 25. We had notable speakers such as CVA experts from United States, such as Ms. Farah Pandit, academician and CBA experts from Southeast Asia, such as Dr. Muhammad Wisam Aslam of Malaysia and Professor Muja Rahardro of Indonesia. We had the Vice President of the Philippines and Senator Lacson, who drafted the Anti-Terrorism Bill of the Philippines. We were able to do interviews and documentary from MILF leader and now a BTA member, MP Makapaar, and a documentary, an interview of a Mauti soldier surrendering. We are also doing a project on empowering women leaders and scholars for peace and order in Mindanao. We held the program March 24 and 26, and this is in partnership with the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos. We had 150 women leaders and scholars, or alimas, who learned from Karama Human Rights founder Aziza Al-Hibri, member of the Parliament MP Hamid Bara, Anti-Terrorism Council Chairman Attorney Florentino Malastas, peace advocate Samira Gutox, and other notable speakers. We will be giving project grants to the best project proposals on countering violent extremism, peace, woman empowerment, and education. Yesterday, we just concluded the month-long Ramadan series interfaith program that aims at lessening the entries of radicalization. Every week, we have different forums, and we tackle the topics on radicalization, discrimination, minority persecution, and religious dialogue on peace and friendship. Noteworthy to say is that we were able to get an exclusive interview from an Uyghur man, Mr. Mahmoud Jam, from China, who has not seen his family since 2015 due to the regressive policies of China's against its minorities. So in order to elaborate more, we can now present the video presentation. Thank you very much.
Muhammad Jan Abdul Rahim. As a result of the fear and also deliberate disconnection, I have not been able to talk to my family since May 2017. This is not just an isolated case. This is happening to almost every Uyghur household, whether back home or overseas. The religion of Islam has been effectively banned since 2017. As for the questions of Sister Aliyah, whether or not there have been international efforts to put an end to this genocidal campaign, well, until today, there have been 4 countries, mostly Western countries, who have recognized atrocities as genocide: the United States, Netherlands, and Canada, and recently the UK. One of the effective and doable things to do, talking to your friends and family, schoolmates, teachers and students, to raise awareness and make them know about the genocidal campaign China is waging against the Uyghurs.
Over to you, Bibo.
All right. Thank you very much, Siti Aliyah Limbao Lokman. And keep up the good job, Lady Sharia counselors. I do look forward for exciting and impactful projects to the communities. Personally, I do commend your hard work and passionate and genuine work, really. So maraming salamat to the Lady Sharia counselors at law. Yes, so I think we are good to move on our next speaker, right? So our next speaker is Congressman Freddy Shaw, and who is currently the representative of the Lone District of Iligan City. But before that, he was a 3-term elected councilor of Iligan City, where he enacted ordinances and resolutions that was beneficial to the Iligan City. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Masaligan, Masandigan, at Masangpit, the working congressman of the Lone District of Iligan City, Congressman Freddy Shaw.
Greetings to our brothers and sisters within and outside the Muslim community. In behalf of the Lone District of Iligan, I would like to thank the Association of Lady Sharia Counselors at Law of the Philippines for inviting me to this momentous occasion. I stand in solidarity with our Muslim brothers and sisters in this holy month of Ramadan. Being one of the pillars of Islam, Ramadan has always been an important time for Muslims both in the Philippines and in the world. The 9th month of the Islamic calendar is the time when Muslims around the world fast from sunrise to sunset. But while most of the people can only see the struggles of abstaining from food and water, it is the internal struggles, the jihad, that each Muslim observes that make this religious event and the people observing it truly one of a kind. Being more than just an act of service, fasting teaches the ability to control worldly desires. It is very personal and individual. It is a time for sacrifice and renunciation and a period of reflection and spiritual growth. Being an Iliganon, where there is a significant number of people belonging to the Islamic faith actively interacting with people of multiple religions, it is not uncommon for us to notice religious and cultural differences. They result in many things, including conflict, but more importantly, a strong desire for understanding, unity, and peace. Despite the many instances of misunderstanding and tension, I am happy to say that I have also observed plenty of instances of cooperation, mutual respect, and love among our diverse community. It is these shining moments that make me believe that our differences don't have to be a reason for hate and division. Values such as faith, love, respect, and compassion for one another can exist despite our diversity. And I believe these are values also shared by Islam. In a world where differences in faith, culture, and perspectives have given rise to a number of conflicts, it feels as though we need peace more than ever. As leaders of our community, it is our moral responsibility to change our society for the better. It matters not how big or how small our actions may be, whether they are done in front of cameras or in silence. For each act of kindness and peace is a ripple that will eventually create waves. I know that in one way or another, all of us have done a number of things to make our society better. But we can do more. Let us do more to educate ourselves about each other's culture, contribute in discussion of peace and tolerance, and spearhead activities that aim to break harmful stereotypes and preconceptions. Together, let us create ripples and waves that will make for a better, fairer, and happier society. Shukran and peace be upon us all.
Right, that was Congressman Freddy Shaw. Maraming salamat. And then we are down to our last keynote speaker. Yes, so before we pray sa Tarawi. So our last keynote speaker is Ate Samira Gutok. She is a journalist, consultant, environmentalist, trainer, community organizer, and peace activist. She was also former legislator of the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, a regent of the Mindanao State University, MSU, and a member of the Bangsamoro Transition Commission, where she drafted provision on education, women's rights, and the environment. She also sat on the board of the Amana Islamic Bank, the Philippines Army's Multi-Sectoral Advisory Board, and the Equity Initiative. During the Marawi siege, she co-founded the Rana Rescue Team, which helped those trapped in Ground Zero, as well as the hostages for release, and now chairs Ako Bakwit, an organization that has been providing assistance to internally displaced persons all throughout the COVID-19 pandemic and the different disasters, since while continuing to lecture about IDP rights and youth development. Ate Sam has been honored with distinctions from various organizations, including awards from the UP Glory Awards of the UP College of Mass Communication, the UN Peace Awards, the 10 Outstanding Women in the Nation Service, and the 10 Outstanding Young Men Awards for Youth Leadership. She obtained her communications degree and her master's degree in international studies from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, in Mindanao State University MSU Law Gazette editor, and she graduated at the Arellano University School of Law and obtained a fellowship at the Oxford Center for Islamic Studies. So ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Ate Samira Gutok. Ate Sam, over to you.
Po. Thank you very much. Is the audio okay? Thank you very much.
Yes, po.
Good evening to the community of believers. And I think it's the last and maybe a few lines that I crafted from listening to all inspiration. Bismillah, in the name of God. To the few who can Zoom, I open my heart to a world who can't join in one room. I say thank you, US and the world, for standing support in the Bangsamoro peace talks. Stop the war, stop the sword. We pray for you, India. One patient's pain is the pain of all. I'm a survivor and a chronicler. I am in awe, joining the universe of reformers. Red tag long before in her wear, looked down upon for her headgear. We took the soldier not as an enemy, mediated human rights as their cause to their strategy. I took the hate to find actions of great, rejecting the headline of rage and scandal, changed the frame of the story, helped set up moral times for all. Indeed, Jesus reminded us, love thy neighbor, he fasted, love the ecosystem, the universe. This is what I take from my Ramadan Quran's verses. Indeed, what COVID teaches us, we find too in the faith to discipline diet, persevere, avoid excess. To the youth, create videos, remove us from this apathetic mess. This interconnectivity among us humankind reminds us that every tissue that I throw takes space from this free space that an ant can walk on. Quarantine is no excuse. The Quran is a message indeed for humanity. Make a truce. Books, not bullets. Tractors, not tanks. Nothing about us without us. Indeed, the ink is mightier than the sword, and we're no longer building fences, but a shared value and a shared fast that has a message for all. Thank you very much, and humbled to join you in this last few days of Ramadan.
Thank you very much, Ate Sam. Yes, thank you. So let's move on to the closing remarks. To be given by Attorney Alexine Bangpola, who passed the bar exams in 2019 and was admitted in bar just last year. She currently works as a legal researcher at the Office of Bangsamoro Transition Authority Member of Parliament Attorney Maysara Damdamang Labi. She also lectures at the Mindanao State University Marawi College of Law. So Attorney Alexine, over to you.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings. Namaste. Distinguished guests, your honors, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our virtual Iftar program. It is a privilege and an honor to be entrusted with the task of delivering the closing remarks at the gathering of such eminent and renowned government and religious leaders, members from the international community, members from national and the Bangsamoro government agencies, members of civil society organizations of different backgrounds, races, and faiths, and yet united by a common desire for peace. Each one of us here, especially our VIP guests, I'm sure, have had full schedules, and yet each one of us has made the time to be here tonight for the sake of learning and sharing through the virtual screen our food and drink and our time. I would like to especially commend our brothers and sisters of different faiths for taking that extra step and to use the saying, walking in our shoes by experiencing Ramadan through fasting with us. Sharing a meal is a communal and intimate experience. To use another favorite quote of mine, you always eat together as a family, even during difficult times, because being hungry and being all alone are the worst things that can happen to anyone. That is probably why during Ramadan, before the onset of the pandemic, and even during this pandemic, we see Muslims and even non-Muslims have iftar or feeding programs for as many people as they can. It is one of the best and brightest examples of compassion. I believe that in this way, the one who feeds and the one who is fed share a meal together and become family. Though this may only be a virtual iftar program, by breaking our fast and sharing a meal together, I believe all the attendees, regardless of their faiths, have become companions. On behalf of everyone here, I would like to extend our gratitude to the United States Embassy, particularly Cultural Affairs Officer Ms. Nina Lewis and Assistant Cultural Affairs Officer Ms. Pauline Anderson, as well as the Association of Lady Sharia Counselors at Law of the Philippines, for their efforts in organizing a series of relevant and timely Ramadan forums culminating in this virtual iftar program. We thank the U.S. Embassy for their continuous and consistent support to the Philippines, the BARM, and the Philippine Filipino as well as Muslim community in all aspects such as security and in socio-economic development. I'm awed, just awed, to have heard all of our distinguished speakers. And more than that, I'm also touched at the examples of overwhelming support for the Muslim community at all levels, from the international level through the US Embassy, at the national level through the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, and through the support of our allies such as Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Congresswoman Lauren Legarda, Congressman Frederick Xiao, and Senator Emmanuel Manny Pacquiao, as well as the regional level, as well as at the regional level to the Bangsamoro government, as represented by Deputy Speaker, Member of Parliament Ziaur Rahman Alontodio. And of course, we cannot forget our countless CSO partners and partners in the academe, some of whom have graced us with their presence, such as Dato Harun Ali, Bishop Thomas Mascareñas, Miss Shakuntala Vaswani, Professor Sharima Ali Morales, and advocate and CSO leader, Ms. Samira Guto. I'm sure we have learned a lot, starting from Dato Raja Ali of the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, who began the program by providing a background on the holiest month of Ramadan. I am sure many non-Muslims and even fellow Muslims were enlightened by the easily understandable explanation on the significance of Ramadan. Again, we thank Congresswoman Legarda, Senator Pacquiao, and Member of Parliament Adyong for their heartfelt Ramadan messages. I'm sure we learned a lot of lessons from their experiences and their perspectives as Muslim and non-Muslim alike. We also thank Dato Harun Ali for calling out a beautiful azan or call to prayer, signifying the breaking of the fast, at least for us here in Iligan, since when I checked the chat message, apparently those who were in Manila already broke their fast at 5:15 p.m. We also thank the various speakers from Bishop Thomas Mascareñas on his discussion on minoritization or discrimination and discussing it as an assault to religious freedom. I fully agree that there are indeed no winners in war, and that what is most important is not necessarily who started it, both because we cannot no longer remember, and if we keep pointing fingers, perhaps the conflict will never end. Rather, what is more important is who is the one willing to win or end this conflict for the greater good or for the benefit of everyone who is involved in this conflict. I also appreciated how he shared the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, make me an instrument of your peace. I am sure regardless of your religion or your faith, it is a message that will resound in you and that will inspire you to become instruments and advocates of peace wherever you may be. We also appreciate that and thank Ms. Shakuntala Vaswani for offering her perspective as a member of the Hindu community. We thank her for sharing with us her well wishes, her wishes of celebration as we break our fast, and we also wish her well during the. We also wish her a wonderful festival of colors and lights, as she shared with us the festival of colors, festival of lights, the Holi and Diwali festivals. I do agree that the concept of peace or the idea of peace is indeed something that we share regardless of our faith, whether you are a Muslim, a Christian, a Hindu, a Jew, or of any other faith, and that we worship God in different ways, and that is not necessarily a bad thing. We also thank Professor Sharima Ali Morales for sharing the insightful findings of her research. Hopefully, once the research is completed, or in fact, if it is completed, it can be a useful resource for all members of the government, the academe, as well as civil society in helping them craft responsive policies and programs. We thank Ms. Samira Gutok for her message of peace, as well as Congressman Chow for his message of peace. Finally, I would like to share some of my own personal insights and reflections after learning from greater speakers than I. I have learned that there is in fact strength in diversity, that it is no crime and it is not a bad thing to be different from our fellow human beings. At the same time, I have also learned that we are more similar than we are different. As Bishop Mascareñas stated, we in fact descend from one couple, Adam and Eve. We are of one blood and one family. At the same time, I would also like to share a verse from the Quran. This is from Surah 49 or Al-Hujurat. It is said, O mankind, we created you from a single pair of a male and a female. made you into nations and tribes, that ye may know each other, not that ye may despise each other. Verily, the most honored of you in the sight of Allah is he who is the most righteous of you, and Allah's full knowledge and is well acquainted with all things. What we can learn from this surah is that diversity, differences, is our gift from God. If God had wanted us to simply get along, to be a uniform race, he or she would not have created us into different races, tribes, and faiths. Rather, this diversity, this difference, this richness and culture and race is a gift from God to us. And it is our responsibility to get along with our fellow man and woman. Despite the differences in culture, despite the differences in faith, I am once again comforted by the fact that we have a common idea of peace. Regardless of your religion, I do not believe that there is a single religion or faith that does not advocate for peace or that advocates for violence as a means of solving problems or communicating with other people. Regardless of that diversity, regardless of that difference, we have this commonality of wanting a peaceful and just society. With that said, in fact, we are more similar than we are different. Lastly, I hope that this communal spirit that we have, this Iftar, this month of Ramadan, that is also common in other faiths and other celebrations, such as with Christians in their celebration of the Eucharist and at various festivals that are celebrated by the Hindus. I hope that we can keep this communal spirit with us, that it is not just limited to our holy celebrations, but that we can exemplify this spirit in our everyday dealings with other people, whether they be from different faiths or from the same faith. Lastly, I ask that we also pray for each other. We pray for the global community that is beset by this pandemic. We pray for India, who is indeed, which is having a difficult time considering the outbreak of cases that they have now. Lastly, we pray for peace. Peace for everyone, peace regardless of which country or from which faith he or she belongs to. With that said, this may have already gotten to a long point. Thank you very much for inviting us to this wonderful, wonderful virtual Iftar program. I'm sure that we have learned a lot. Ramadan Mubarak to each and every one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Attorney Alexine. Yes, indeed, you have encompassed the words of our speakers from the beginning until the end. So yes, guys, so that's a wrap. And I have my last request lang. I'd like to request everyone to please turn on your cameras for our group photos, for a group photo together with our speakers. Yes. So before we end this program. So tech team, at your count.
Okay, stand by. Okay, ready? 1, 2. Okay, another one. 1, 2. Okay.
All right. So yes, so we will be broadcasting this the video tomorrow to the organizers' Facebook platforms. And yes, my takeaway, I've learned a lot today from different religious, sectoral, tribal, regional, and national leaders today. And yes, it's really a pleasure. And yes, let's spread love, peace, and unity. And I hope we can gather once again next year. But that time, I hope face-to-face na tayo. Yeah, so in behalf of the organizers, U.S. Embassy Philippines, and Association of Lady Sharia Counselors at Law of the Philippines, I am your Master of Ceremony, Bibo Domado. Maraming salamat and advance Eid Mubarak. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Bibo. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you all. God bless us all. Thank you. Attorney City and Attorney Alexin. You're doing great. Thank you, bro, my dear God brother, Haji Ali.